go. I spent all of improvisation time coming up with a new sequence.
Can you say, there you go? Like I was sitting here waiting for it. Like I'm sitting here wanting to hear that.
I have it on good authority that you very much anticipate and expect and enjoy.
I expect, yes. That's about the only one. Expect is the only one there that was accurate. Enjoy? No. Anticipate? I mean, I suppose that's similar to expect, isn't it? It's basically the same thing.
Yeah. Maybe we'll make a meme out of it. I'll try and find brass sections from
anticipating
songs.
that Hamish will attempt to make my ears bleed right at the start of this recording.
So, welcome to NULLSCORE, the podcast where Hamish explains why he's taking a break and Jim silently judges him, even though he took a long break himself and tanked his concurrent viewer number. My name is Hashish. This is my co-host, Joe Biden. What's it like being part of the greatest circus next to Circus du Soleil?
Clap for that, you stupid bastards. Oh, man. He's a fucking mess, dude.
Bro, I had the pleasure. Now, by the way, for those of you listening for the first time, this is not a podcast where we ordinarily discuss politics. In fact, I would wager to say that both of us hate politics generally.
Yeah, I'm not.
However, we are both pretty well versed in internet memes. And thankfully, the American political system is at the point where they had a presidential debate and it is no longer within the territory of formal political debate and squarely crossed into the territory of internet meme.
Yeah, it's getting a bit fucking silly.
It was nuts. It was absolutely nuts. It's just incredible to see. And I love every year we always have the same thing with the Americans, which is the better, the lesser of two evils. Have you noticed that? The last two?
Has that not been the same thing here in Australia?
I mean, yeah. Well, I mean, if you look at it from the perspective of, we both just hate politics generally, but I think there are genuinely people, or large groups of people in Australia who believe that one is better than the other. I think it generally splits to Labor being the young/working class man renters group, and then Liberal being the homeowners and rich people side.
Yeah.
At least that's how I always saw the divide, was, roughly in my head.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, that's not always the case, but generalization makes things easier. So, yeah, that's a thing. But that entire debate was an absolute circus. Did you watch any of it, or did you catch the social media whirlwind afterwards?
I just saw bits and pieces on social media. I want to watch it, and but while I'm doing something else, I can't sit there and pay attention to it. I have to I'm just gonna listen to shit while I play a game when I get a fucking chance to, which is never at the moment. I don't get a chance to do fucking anything, man. But yeah, I've only seen all the bullshit on social media.
Yeah, so some of the highlights, of course, for me, being that they did not implement a system to shut down the opposing person's mic when one person's talking.
Yeah,
so they could just talk over each other the entire time. Which was that was clearly a decision made for entertainment value.
I can't remember whose tweet it was, but someone tweeted, today I learned that my least favorite sound in the world is three men talking at once.
Yeah, it's pretty good. A couple other ones was there was a big thing about Trump telling a white supremacist group to stand by. Yeah, I know a lot of people were big on that. Stand down, stand by. Yeah, and people were like, you won't condemn white supremacy, blah blah blah. I'm not going to get into that, right? Because that's serious political discussion.
Well, I briefly talked to Blash about that after my stream last night, and he was saying he was saying it like everyone else is saying, because he didn't flat out condemn white supremacy. He must be a supporter of white supremacy. That's saying, do you condemn murderers? It doesn't, does it even warrant a fucking response? Of course not. No. he's come out plenty of times saying that he's come out plenty of times saying that he doesn't like. There's been other white supremacist groups over the last how many years? I don't know, 3 or 4 years, and he's been like, these guys are like the shitheads. He has condemned their actions. I feel like
they just haven't.
Saying white supremacy, condemning white supremacy, like I don't care what those guys think. And I feel like Trump's maybe of the same thought. He's like, he's not going to tell them what to think. He doesn't care what they fucking think. It's their actions that matter. If they're going to go out and do shit, then it becomes a problem. If they want to sit at home and scream white power at a fucking, swastika flag, whatever the fuck, who fucking cares? If you want to be an idiot on your own time, in your own home, you fucking do that. Is like as soon as you go out and start fucking with other people, as soon as you go out and start hurting other people, then it becomes an issue. But if you're doing dumb shit by yourself, who the fuck cares, man?
Yeah, exactly. My favorite thing that came out of this whole thing, however, was a tweet from George Lucas. I don't know if you saw this one.
No.
Did you
I
see
haven't
when he talked about
him.
it?
No.
So I'm just going to look it up really quickly because I want to see what the engagement on it was after I left it alone, because it did the rounds. It did the rounds. Oh, was it George Lucas or was it Mark Hamill? It might be Mark Hamill.
Mark Hamill.
I
think it was the Mark Hamill
one.
Yeah, I think I did. I think I do know the one you're talking about.
Mark Hamill, award-winning city planner. No, that's not who I want. I want the... There he is, Mark Hamill.
Was it something like, this is the worst thing I've ever seen, and I was
worst thing I've ever seen? Yeah. Where is it?
Someone replied to him and said, you were also in The Last Jedi. Like,
here we go. So that debate was the worst thing I've ever seen, and I was in the Star Wars Holiday Special. Now that's from Mark Hamill. Received 1.1 million likes, 156,000 retweets, plus 9.8 quote tweets, which is where somebody adds their 2 cents to the thing. But that's insane. And that wasn't the only, like, quote unquote, big tweet that came out of that. So the short version is, if you're not into politics, this might be the one to get into, because it was a complete fucking circus. And you might even be able to stomach it. I just got a message from Red about the pronunciation of Circus d'Olay or whatever it is.
Why did she hear you?
And she's like, please tell me you did not just pronounce it Salil.
Salil, yes. Well, that's what it is.
I don't know how I read it. I'm sure people in the comments will be like, Hamish, you idiot.
No. But tell her I said Salil now as well. Tell her I'm going to say Salil every time now, just because I know that, like, every time it happens.
That's such a you thing to do.
Yeah. Tell her every time it happens, she's going to know. Like, when the hair stands up on the back of her neck for no reason, she's like, oh, what's that? It's because I'm saying Circus Salil. Somewhere in the other side of Australia.
He's not a man. He's a symbol. Not what Gotham needed, but what he wanted. Salil, man. I image of you walking up behind criminals. They're like robbing banks, and you're like, Salil. And they just fall over in cringe. They're like, nope, I can't. I'm done.
Yeah. And then me and fucking 20 of my mates all cram into a Mini and drive off.
That's it. So, a couple of things to talk about generally today, other than this circus of a debate. In the script, we've got me taking a break from streaming. That's, I suppose it's big NULLSCORE news. It's not big news generally.
No.
Where is the line drawn with characters? I think that one's going to be you.
It was from last week.
Not entirely.
Yeah.
Not entirely certain where you're going with that one.
You'll get it when I start talking about it.
Oh, look, I'm here for the ride. Spotify employees and Joe Rogan's podcast. Apparently, there's been some issues with censorship. I'm sure you'll be super all over that.
Can you just read, like, I want you to read as it's written. And make sure that the caps are loud.
Okay, Spotify employees want control over Rogan's podcast to censor it. Hands off my junk.
Oh, man. I was hoping for a more aggressive hands off my junk.
Well, the problem is, like, whenever I get like, I'm trying to be like level with my volume, because you've said before when we do podcasts,
no
like some days, some weeks I'll come in and I'll be like, "Hey guys, what's going on? It's Hamish here," and then other days I'll be like, "Yeet!"
Well, see, I was talking
up on the mic.
this is what Blash wanted to talk to me about last night after my stream. He was telling me that he has got some of the footage and he's trying to edit it, and he said, the voice, like you said, the voice audio is so bad. It's like, what do you mean? He said, well, Hamish peaks all the time. It's like, yeah, I know. You need to put a hard limit on him and drop it by like 6 decibels. You need to hard limit him and then drop him like his track by another 2 or 3 and then bring mine up slightly.
Yeah.
Because you often like you
can't
lean
just
forward when you burst into laughter. You lean forward directly into your microphone, and then you just
because you diaphragm, you roll over.
Yeah,
like when you laugh, you lean forward. Yeah, so
I understand.
Yeah,
like it's like it's a natural thing to do, but it's like
no,
when people are trying to edit audio, it's like fucking hell. Like why is this so fucking Anyway.
Yeah. Hi, Blash. Sorry.
That's why all those tools exist. That's why all those fucking tools exist, I guess, to deal with excitable people like you.
To deal with the Hamish effect. Yeah.
You're like a fucking you're like a fucking healer pup. Anyway,
I can talk about that as well. My dog has learnt to recently become a little mini Houdini. That's
manages to escape.
That's a fun one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, there's also a little bit of PUBG cheaters. Got an update in respect of how that situation is. So, where do you want to start with this one? Jimbo? Joe Biden?
Joe Biden. Let me just go off on a bunch of pointless tangents that don't connect at all. And
nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
I don't know, man. Talk about your break if you want. Because you haven't really, like, you did explain it in the Discord, but I noticed, like, from watching your chat the other night when I was also streaming, just trying to, like, keep an eye on your chat so people didn't, because your stream title was more or less a farewell thing and stuff like that.
Yeah, I was like, bye for now.
Yeah, it often attracts people who come in like, yeah, no one gives a fuck. Why don't you fuck off? Just never stream again. Like, you're going to get shitheads like that who just, like, they're just scrolling through the list. They see something like that and like, oh, an easy target.
Yeah, no, I'm fully anticipating a lot of dead streamer memes when I eventually come back, and I'm hoping that I'll be able to like meme it up and be like, haha, resurrected, I'm back from the dead.
Yeah. So the reason I wanted to talk about it was because, like I was saying, the Discord. There was a big announcement in Discord, but I think most people mute like every server that they're in. So they
hang on. Let's drop some
tag as well.
Let's set the scene for those of you that are listening don't know. Okay. So, Titan and I are streamers regularly. If you guys listen to the podcast, ordinarily you'll know that we stream on Twitch, or we did stream on Twitch quite regularly. Titan's still doing his thing, but recently I announced that I'm going to be stopping my streaming schedule. So I'm not going to be streaming on Twitch for the next probably somewhere around the 2 to 4 months. At this stage, I'm probably looking at a return to streaming early next year. The reason for that is because it's primarily is my physical health. For the past 2 years, I've been working full-time as a lawyer and doing Twitch streaming and YouTube content creation and then social media management, and trying to get to the gym and be healthy with my food, right? Frankly, I can't do that. It's basically the biggest issue that I ran into is my mental stamina. So I know a lot of people kind of think about this innately but don't really put a concept to it. But when you wake up in the morning, I feel like you have like a tank of brain juice or just like mental stamina. And every time you're performing a task or making a decision throughout the day, you drain a little bit of that. So by the end of the day, you kind of just, I sort of refer to it as being fried. Like you just don't want to think about anything. You don't want to do anything. You just want to sit down and watch TV, right? And doing all of those things consistently for a long time meant that I neglected to take care of a bunch of stuff, right? Now, I'm not, in any sort of horrible state, right? Like I'm not needing to see doctors or go to a hospital or anything like that, right? So it's not super concerning. It's just that when I moved, I weighed somewhere in like the 86, 87, maybe even 90 kilo range. And since I've been up in Mount Isa, I'm now 106 kilos with my boots on. So for me, what that means is that like I'm not only am I having, like a lack of mental focus by the end of the day, I'm also just physically exhausted. So I need to, and I wanted to get back into the gym really pretty regularly. So somewhere in the 4 to 5 a week to kind of like bring my ass back into shape. But I also find that when I have control over something like that, I tend to be more disciplined generally because you've developed the discipline in going to the gym, or, it may not be the gym for you. It might be, a sport of some description, soccer, rugby, some sort of like track event or something like that. Once you get that discipline and pattern down, you're able to apply that. So for me, something had to go. I was doing too much all at the same time, and streaming was the one to go. So the reason why streaming went is because all in all, I probably spend somewhere in the realm of 18 hours a week physically dealing with streaming stuff. So I have 4 hours where I'm actually live, and then 2 hours where I'm moving links or posting stuff or, other back-end stuff, right? But outside of that, you're also constantly thinking, like if you wake up on a Tuesday, right? You don't have stream till Wednesday. You think, man, what am I going to do Wednesday? And that's also kind of a drain on it a little bit. And I needed to give myself a little bit of room initially to build up the strength and discipline that I'm going to need to be able to do all of those things full time. So it's kind of like I've been falling a little bit behind every week for the past 2 years. And now I have a debt that needs to be paid. And that debt comes in the form of about 20 kilos.
You know what's funny? You know what's fucking funny to me, dude? I'd been streaming about 6 months or so longer than you when you first rated me.
Yep. Yeah.
How long has it been between my break that I took and now you're taking a break?
About 6 months, right?
About the same time, we both hit more or less the same point where we're just like,
so somewhere around the 2 year mark. Yeah.
You're just like, well, this has got to this has to change. Not so much this has to stop, but this has to change. Like I can't keep going this way.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like it's a lot of times you think about it, and I've said this before, in that it's difficult, and then you finally have a moment where you're like, oh shit, this is actually difficult. Because there's a sense of pride where people are like, yeah, content creation's hard. And you're like, yeah, but I'm smashing it. And it's like, yeah, it's not the day-to-day that will get you. It'll be like one day we have a really rough day, and then you'll smash it and you'll be like, great. And then you'll have a really good day and you'll get the same results as the shit day. And then you'll be like, what happened?
When you say you're smashing it though, like I feel like a lot of people who say, oh man, I'm going to get back on that grind. Oh yeah, I'm doing really fucking well. I'm really consistent. It's like, yes, but you're trying to clean this massive fucking, like just say think of it like an empty pool. This is how I like to think of it sometimes. It's like an empty fucking pool, right? Empty Olympic pool. And the task is to clean it. And when it's finished, then, that's it. You'll be done. When you've cleaned the whole fucking thing, then you start again. But, how many times, what's more effective than cleaning this pool? Are you running around with a toothbrush in there? Scrubbing everything? Because just by streaming every fucking day for hours and hours and not doing anything outside of that, you're just cleaning the pool with a toothbrush. You need to find a different way to approach that situation. You can't stream for fucking 4 to 8 hours every single day and not do anything else, not work on the stream outside of it. Like I've moved, I've already got some stuff. I've got a fucking note full of ideas and shit. Once I've moved again, towards the end of this year, maybe early next, I'll be moving out of this place soon. But once I move to the new place closer to work, talk about that fucking later or another time. I don't know. I've got some stuff that I want to implement that's gonna like it will change the interaction in my stream, because I feel like that's a big part of what's missing, and that's my fault. But like it's kind of like I feel like I'm almost on the same sort of track as you are, where it's like you're streaming a lot, and it's do you feel like it's getting a little bit stale, or it's just wearing on you that much? Like you feel like what you're doing is not
well. Yeah, so I mean, yeah, this is a good way to explain this. So, whilst I'm stopping the streaming, I'm not stopping the YouTube stuff, right? And the same reason that I'm not stopping the YouTube stuff is also the same reason why I decided to stop the streaming, which sounds backwards, but I'll explain it and you'll get it. The reason I chose streaming over other things to get rid of is because streaming stopped being something that I looked forward to and innovated on, and somehow, very slowly, it just became a thing that I did.
Becomes routine.
So I talked about it in the post, and there's nothing wrong with it being routine, but when it just becomes a situation where you rock up and you think about maybe what you want to do 5-10 minutes beforehand, or even less, you just don't, and you just run with it. You just play games and
go live and
talk
you start
to chat.
playing whatever.
Yeah, I think that you're doing a little bit of a disservice both to yourself and your audience, because you're not creating content that is entertaining, or you're not actively doing that. And I think, there is a possibility that you could do that passively, right? If you're a fantastic CSGO player, just you playing the game with a level of seriousness will be entertaining, right? But that's not where we're at. Neither of us are pro gamers, right? So there's a certain level of entertainment value that needs to be consciously brought to the stream. And when it becomes routine, you can forget that. I was watching my streams back. This was the kicker for me, by the way. If you've been watching my streams lately, it's basically been League of Legends, right? My audience doesn't watch League of Legends. I came to this, I sort of came to the situation, but people are like, I just don't understand it. Like watching League, I don't know what the hell's going on. Like 5 people are there. There's a bunch of bright flashing lights and I don't know what's going on, right? I've been playing League for 6-7 years. So I could probably name most of the 400-500 abilities in the game and tell you what they do. Just knowledge. That's just the time that I've spent in the game. But
can we just
the streams
take a
I was
to
doing
appreciate how ruined the word knowledge is now because of Ty Lopez?
Yeah.
As soon as you said that, it's,
knowledge.
As soon as you said that, I was like, that fucking guy. Anyway,
I got my Lamborghinis behind me. Yeah. So it was just me playing games and talking with the boys, and there's nothing particularly wrong with that, but there's nothing particularly entertaining about that for an outsider either. And my streams used to be there was always a purpose or a concept behind it. A very good example are the XCOM streams. The XCOM streams are some of the things that I'm most proud of because they had a theme, they had a purpose, and people would show up because there was tension.
There was a clear goal in mind.
And at any point, one of the characters who were named and modeled after chat members could die permanently, right? Blash died last time.
I mean, look, Blash dies in everything that we play pretty much. Yeah. So. That seems accurate to me.
Yeah, and I got a little bit disillusioned with what I was doing, right? Because I know I can do better. I know I can make better stuff. And a very good example of that is my YouTube stuff. My YouTube content is more enjoyable for me to watch, and I will go back and watch it, more than I will watch streams or anything like that. Yeah? So I'm continuing with the YouTube stuff. This is the part where I say to you, the content doesn't necessarily stop, right? The YouTube's still coming. But the reason why I've opted for that over Twitch, even though you might look at streaming and think, man, there's not as much back-end stuff, there's not as much editing and processing and uploading, so, isn't it more work to do YouTube? And the answer is not really. They're both about the same. It's just I can stop and start YouTube whenever I need to.
Well, it depends. It depends how you approach the streams, I guess. Like the streams can be the same amount of work if, like you're saying, like if they're those streams that you're talking about, those XCOM ones, where you require a lot of prep work to like you don't want to do that character creation too much on stream, I think. Like some of it's okay, but overall you want to have everything ready to go, so when people drop in, you're playing the game. Look, here's here's Corey, here's Jazwalls, here's fucking all the characters are already there.
Yeah. Yeah.
and
you
YouTube
also
videos are like that too, but streams, I think a lot of people who stream, and I'm guilty of this at the moment. I'm just going live, booting up PUBG, and then I'm playing solos until whoever the fuck is online and joins me. And then I start just throwing out the garbage fucking jokes. Like
And I think there's a market for that, but I think in today's day and age, you want to be doing something a little bit more.
It depends what your goal is. Like right now, what you're talking about, those streams, that's true. To draw in new people and keep them in. That's for growth. Yeah. What I'm doing right now is I don't really care about growth right this second. I'm mostly I'm just doing that stuff for the regulars who, just the same people that I see all the time. And that's fine.
You're a hobbyist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
I think
if for new people coming into my stream, last night there was a joke that was while I was dropping in. Like new people are probably fucking horrified by some of the things I say because they might not realize that I'm joking. And I can't remember what the fucking exact context of the joke was, but I was saying it's sometimes shit just happens. It's a mistake. You're hanging out with your buddy, you're just fucking watching a show or whatever, and then somehow you're like, oh, what's happened? I've got a fucking asshole full of cock. Like to new people, that's like, what? Where did this come from?
That was a sharp left turn.
That's what I mean. Like to the regulars, they're like, "Oh, that's the sense of humor is expected here." But to new people, they're like, "What the fuck, man? Like, where did that come from?"
Yeah. So, look, to wrap this all up relatively neatly, I have stopped the streams because it frees up my regular weekly schedule. It's going to allow me to go to the gym very frequently. I've been 3-4 times this week. And then next week I'll be doing probably 5 minimum. And then I'll scale it up to the point where starting about the 26th of October, I'll be going probably 7 times a week. So I usually leave my weekends open, which means double sessions like Mondays, Fridays, or Wednesdays, and eating a restricted calorie diet. So at the moment, I'm kind of just getting my body used to exercise after being, sitting still for ages.
Yep.
I did cardio yesterday, and I'm sore.
Yeah.
And I felt like dying while I was there.
When you spend this much time sitting, and then you tell your body, "All right, we're going to run now." It's like, well, can't we just sit and run on PUBG? Can't we just do running simulator?
Yeah, can't we do that? I thought we were doing really well. Yeah. So now I'm trying to get used to that, and then once my body is like, okay, cool, we're gonna get absolutely ruined, next every day, gets used to it, starts healing itself properly, then start restricting calories and trim on down. So, I mean, people that watch the video version of the podcast should hopefully see progressive changes, but I think people that only watch my streams or my YouTube stuff might see me come back somewhere in January, or maybe I'll still have face cam. I don't know. And then I'll come back and I'll be like, haha, I'm fit now. Lol.
It's going to be like PewDiePie coming back all ripped out of nowhere.
Yeah, my favorite part about PewDiePie was he grew a beard as well in the meantime.
I mean, he's had
so you couldn't see.
Before, so.
Yep. Oh, he's had beards, but he grew a beard at the same time that he thinned down. So you couldn't see his jawline change because his beard grew out whilst, the jaw went in, basically. And then he shaved it off, and people were like, "Holy crap, he's malnourished." He's like, "No, I'm just fit. You're just used to my jawline looking like this." Yeah. So hopefully that's the same thing that'll happen with me. Doesn't mean the content will stop. It just means that the streams for a little while are going to stop. It's been weird this week not streaming. Like, I'll be completely honest. I've recorded a couple of videos. I managed to actually be in an Among Us lobby with Sweet Anita, Do you know who that is?
Yeah.
Yeah, she's a streamer with Tourette's, and she was absolutely delightful. Maverick was hosting a Among Us lobby, and she dropped by, like, just out of the blue, and she was like, hey, can I play some Among Us? And I'm sitting there like, oh my God.
Yeah.
And I was trying to be, like, cool about it. I didn't want to, like, leech or anything like that. So it was a really, really cool experience. I think that's the first time I played with, like, a really, really big streamer. And it was a really exciting experience. I know Mav has played with like XQC and Trainwrecks and McConnell and all of these other guys before. So he's like been there with the really big dogs.
Yeah.
In fact, you could probably argue that XQC is the biggest dog. I don't mean to say that as an insult. Like he's just a huge streamer right now. Yeah. But yeah, no, I was there playing with Sweetie. It was really, really cool. I had a blast. It was heaps of fun. So George is editing the footage for that. Hopefully it'll turn up into a YouTube video, and then, we'll see more variety content, I think, on the YouTube, whilst I'm still figuring out what I want my niche to be. I want to make cool things again, Jim.
Yeah, that's fair.
That's what I want to do. Yeah.
I don't think I've ever really made exactly cool things. I think most of my best streams or like moments are just something happening that allows me to joke about it, or just be an absolute fucking idiot. Or maybe like the stream where I did one shot every time I died in Tarkov, and then I died like the first 4 raids inside of like an hour. I was fucked. And it was a 4-hour stream.
The Iron Stag raids were pretty good.
That was funny, but yeah,
that was hilarious.
We might be able to do that again soon, but Flea Mark. A lot of people are talking about Flea getting removed. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what happens. I mean, Flea's there right now, but it's in such a fucked state that's like.
Flea getting removed would change Tarkov fundamentally.
Well, it never used to be there. It was added over time.
Removing it, that would really take it to another level. That would be insane.
Yeah.
I think that would be it would be interesting. I think the way that you would have to do it then is potentially have certain like guaranteed spawn rates and spawn areas, so you could farm certain objects.
That would encourage
being completely random.
That would encourage pistolings and hatchet runners, though. I mean, yeah, there's a this isn't on the thing, and there's I know there's other stuff that I'd rather talk about than this right now, because I'm kind of like I'm not playing Tarkov, and there's some changes coming. We'll see what happens with it. We might talk about it again eventually, but right now there's so much, like, this is all speculation and just big streamers talking. There's no announcements about that or anything, so we're kind of just talking about
so
nothing.
We'll table the flea market for another stream, maybe.
I think so.
All right. Well, what's next on the list? Actually, you know what?
Do you want a cup of coffee that'll give you patience while devs ignore their community for years and release nothing but skins and limited time modes that there's no player base in OC for?
That is definitely a PUBG reference.
Yeah, it is.
That's like RPG. That RPG game mode was actually a heap of fun.
Supposedly it was a lot of fun, and then it's just now there's no way to play it.
Yeah, they just took it away.
We keep talking about this with like Blash and Kick of fucking like want it to come back so bad, and I keep asking like, why don't they just make that a custom game mode? If you want to play it, you can get a lobby of people together to play it. Why did it have to be removed entirely? Anyway.
Do you want a cup of coffee that will give you the power to make imposter memes that aren't entirely cringe?
I've seen some pretty good ones, man. I've seen some good ones.
Look, to credit to the imposter memes, they've been some of the best memes lately. I saw a really good one where it was a crossover between the cake meme and the imposter meme. He's like, wait, so he wasn't, it's like, it had the guy getting ejected, and then it has the astronaut, and he goes, wait, so he wasn't the imposter? And the guy behind him goes, never was the imposter, and shanks him. Like the cake one where it's like, wait, so it's all cake? It was, it was good. A really, really good one. You're up.
I'm up. Do you want a cup of coffee that'll hopefully lure Hamish into being in the recording channel when Jim is, and not let him sit in there for 20 odd minutes by himself?
I was eating breakfast.
You fucker.
I was making bacon eggs. It was really good. Do you want a cup of coffee that'll let you go to the gym and rather than be sore afterwards, make you want to fight several bears at the same time?
I don't know if there's any coffee in the world that's going to do that. Several bears at the same time.
Maybe one bear if it's killer coffee. But Killer Coffee may not do all of these things. However, it is a great cup of coffee. At some point, we really should talk to a Killer Coffee rep and be like, hey, man, we've had this running joke for a little while.
I don't know. I don't know. I'm okay with where it is. But yeah, we probably should.
Yeah. Maybe as soon as somebody buys Killer Coffee on our recommendation,
Blash.
That's when we'll approach them.
Blash, do it. You've got access to all the footage.
So, talk to me about how this is working, by the way. Blash with the footage. Is this going to become something that people will see regularly, or what's the go? Because you've told me a little bit about this, but this is very much your project.
Well, I'll tell you where my project. It's as if I've like got control over it, and I'm just not letting you in. Man, you can ask me whatever the fuck you want. It's just
it's literally me doing other stuff. I had to get rid of streaming because I had no time.
Yeah. So I'm trying to give the handling of clips to Blash, only because there's someone else who I had in mind for it.
For those of you that don't know, Blash is a mate of ours through streaming. He's good bloke.
Yep. I mean, you can find him on Twitch. It's Blash95. Blash95.
Oh, true. Yeah, he is. He streams himself. Yeah.
He does. I don't think I've seen him live as much in the last couple of weeks or so. But he was streaming a lot of Tarkov and what's that fucking? Is it Horizon Zero Dawn? I think
Horizon Zero Dawn. Yeah, but he's right on cue for the initial excitement to wear off. So
yeah, probably. He'll play other shit. He'll play other shit. Like yeah. Anyway, I've been trying to give handling of clips to him so that I feel both ways about this. I feel like I find things in the podcast that I think were funny, but they might only be funny to us because we thought they were funny, and to like other random people who, outsiders, new people, they might not think that shit is funny. They're like why does this clip exist? Why is this? I've just wasted 1 minute of my life that I can never get back. Whereas giving it to someone else, maybe a better, like a different perspective on our humor, on our content, might produce clips that I wouldn't have thought would be funny, but they do well. So
yeah, exactly.
I can still make
filter
clips.
out,
filter out other shit. But yeah, I can make clips if I want to, but I also want Blash to I want someone else to, make those decisions as well on what they think is funny and isn't. We might have, if we have multiple clips from different, from the same situation, I can just pick the one that I think flows the best and put that up. Or there could be multiple clips out of a podcast and stuff that I didn't even think of or forgot had happened in the first place. But yeah, right now where it's sitting is he's got access to all the footage. I've given him access to the assets that I use for the clips. And I've given him free reign to, at the moment, just fiddle around, do whatever the fuck he wants. He just won't be able to post anything without running it by me first. Which, I mean, it'd end up run by you as well. I think sometimes I fucking annoy you because, like, I'll make a clip and I'll send it to you. Then I'll make a change and then send the new clip to you. Then I'll make another change or two and then send that new one to you. And all before you've had a chance to respond. So you've got like 3 or 4 fucking versions of this clip with minor edits done, and you're like, I just feel like on your end, you're like, fucking Christ, dude. Like, what? Just figure out what you want and then send that to me.
That's exactly my response. Yeah, I'm like, I've had it before where I've been like, you've sent me a clip and then you've been like, and then you sent me the same clip again. And then you're like, this is different. And I'm like, okay, 1, how? 2, which one do I watch? 3, do I have to watch both of them? It's like, yeah, so... Yeah, if you give me one clip, because then I can assess it and give you proper grade. Like, it just gets more complex the more clips that I have to review.
Well, I mean, secretly, it's an easy way to, like, if I just bombard you with 20 fucking versions of the same clip with minor edits, eventually you're going to stop watching them, and you're just going to go, yeah, dude, seems fine, without watching them. Yeah, and then I can just post the one that I want.
Yeah. George and I sort of have a system where he'll do like a rough edit. And so he'll upload a video and it will be all of the clips in sequence, and then there's sort of like a general idea of how we're going to frame the jokes, just sort of like without the polish. So there's usually no subtitles in there. The zooms are usually like cut zooms. They're not like pushes or anything like that. And then he goes away and spiffs it up, basically.
Yep.
So like for an Among Us video, we're doing subtitles because a lot of the comedy in Among Us is the conversations between people. Like the dynamics between people calling each other imposters and yada, yada, yada. And there's a moment, I don't know, did you see the clip where I try to defend myself after I vent in front of somebody?
No.
Okay, hang on. So I'll send that to you, but the short version is for the audio listeners is this is some imposter memes. Nice. The short version for those of you that haven't played Among Us before, Among Us is a game for up to 10 players. You are crew members on a ship, and amongst these crew members are imposters. It's the imposter's job to kill all of the... Wow, it got 72 views. Holy shit. It's the imposter's job to kill all of the crew members before they complete all of their tasks, or the crew members can vote off the imposters and... just determine basically who is the killer amongst them by saying, oh, well, red and blue walked off together and then only red came back and blue was dead. So maybe red's the imposter, right? So one of the tools available to imposters that are not available to regular crewmates is the use of the vent system. So they can crawl into vents at certain spaces along the map, and then they can go between them to instantly travel between rooms without being seen, right? However, there's an animation for you going in and out of a vent, right? The vent pops up, you jump out of it, the vent closes again, right? If somebody sees you jumping out of a vent or jumping into a vent, they know for certain that you are an imposter. So then they have to convince the group that you are the imposter, right? 2 people saw me vent when I was playing with Sweet Anita. And they just, like the clip starts, they push the emergency meeting button to start the vote. And one guy just goes, purple vented, purple vented, purple vented, purple vented, right? And the other guy's like, yeah, purple vented, because 2 people saw me, right? It was 2 vs 1. And my response is, that sounds like something an imposter would say. So I'm a lawyer in real life. And my best response to defend myself was some meta argument rather than an in-game logical solution. I do come up with one like 20, 30 seconds later, but by then they've already got me dead to rights, basically.
I'm gonna watch this clip, and I'm gonna put the link in the podcast links. All right.
Yeah, so it comes from Sweet Anita's perspective because I wasn't streaming at the time, and you could hear me pretty clear. I was really happy with how my mic sounded in the clip.
Jesus Christ, the guy yelling purple vented.
Yeah. She says yes as well, by the way. Sweet Anita says yes because I killed her earlier in the round.
Wait, offering to screenshot his screen. What the fuck?
Yeah.
Fuck? I don't know. I don't understand enough about how the game works to sort of...
Yeah, you can't use... Screenshotting your screen is, like, frowned upon. That's why I say it's unethical. And then I say, you know what else is unethical? Murder.
Oh, fuck. Yeah, I don't know, man. That's I heard you come through clearly. There's just like a moment of silence, and you're like, "That sounds like something an imposter would say."
Yeah, my mic sounds really, really nice over on her stream, which I was really, really happy about. It sounds super, super good. So that was a good win. I think, obviously, I think we ended up winning that game due to a bug. It was me and another guy. We were both the imposters. But all in all, I thought that was a super fun time. That was a really, really good one. But
was it because of the game, though, or was it because you got to play a game with the Tourette's chick?
No, look, she was dead for most of it.
Oh.
So her involvement was actually quite minimal because I think she was my first kill. I found her alone in cameras and I was like, sorry, streamer. Just took her out.
Yeah.
But like the rest of the crowd was quite good. There were like a couple of like sweaty blokes in there, and then everyone else was kind of cash. But I think that sort of attitude is necessary to create the kind of dynamic you want for content. Yeah. You want it to be a little bit imbalanced. Like if everyone in the room is a shouty McShouterton, it sucks.
Yeah.
It's like watching XQC streams. If everyone's really quiet and patient and polite, it's also like kind of
like
dull.
An entire lobby of
nobody
XQCs,
does anything.
it just
it would
sound
suck.
like
It'd
fun.
be horrible. You'd need new headphones.
Imagine trying
by
to
the
edit
end,
that too. It'd just be such a fucking mess of audio. It's like, I can't. Like, there's nothing. I can't do anything with this footage. It's just.
Yeah. No, it was pretty good. We had like probably 2-3 sweats in there. So guys that like play Among Us every day, which by the way, it's a casual friends game and people are making like a really big deal out of it, which is, I'm not going to talk about whether that's a good thing or a bad thing. I just think it's an interesting observation.
Lash was saying there are cheat,
and then
there are people cheating. It has a problem with cheaters at the moment. It's two that he mentioned.
People opening streams and cheating.
People, well, not just that. He was saying people like one where they can see the entire, like they can see everything. Nothing's like like blacked out. So you can only
no fog of war.
No, like your field of view thing is just like gone completely. You can just see fucking everything. And the other one was you can like zip around, like if you're an imposter, you can just zip around to people and kill them like basically instantly, like a speed sort of thing. To, like, okay, so I understand cheaters in Tarkov. They're doing it for RMT mostly. They're doing it because they can make money off it. Same thing with PUBG.
Yep.
Selling skins or fucking whatever. What do you get out of cheating in Among Us? Like you're basically,
it's like when people were cheating in Fall Guys.
Yeah, like there's nothing to gain from this. You're not making money off it. So like what you're basically you're cheating to not play the game.
Yeah, there's no benefit to it.
It doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. It's So I think our group was made up of like 3-4 sweats. There were like 2 like low key kind of laid back guys, which was like me and one other dude, and we both have relatively like thick Aussie accents. I think he might have even been Kiwi.
Yeah.
And so we were kind of like the chill bros of the group, and then we had Silverfuse and Sweet Anita, who were both like very, very excitable. They were quite good, and then we had like a couple of other quiet people. So we had like a really kind of like Scooby Gang mixed up dynamic, and so it was really, really fun to see.
I feel like Hargles would be a fucking monster in that game.
Hargles would be insane.
He has like that,
first of all, he would be a sweat.
Yeah, he would be.
First of all,
but
he would be a
also
sweat.
he has like that calm, like fucking psychopath demeanor. Like he's, like he's calm, but also he's like, so I'm going to murder you now. It's like, oh, okay.
Yeah, exactly.
like the relaxed Bond villains.
Yeah, exactly. He'd have the demeanor where you would expect him to apologize for murdering you, but he would just explain to you why you went wrong.
Yeah.
Like that's it. Hargles very much. Yeah.
I'd explain to you what to do better next time, but you're going to be dead, so there's no point.
You're not worth my time. Fuck. So shout out to Hargles, the mod god. Talk to me a little bit about this Spotify situation. I'm very interested.
Well, I mean, it's
in how this goes down.
Yeah, like I know Spotify is not really something that matters too much to us, but I just thought it was interesting because it's
I mean, the podcast's on Spotify. That's where I listen to it mostly.
Well, yeah. Why do you listen to it on Spotify? It doesn't matter.
I listen back to it. Like usually I jump about 20, 30 minutes in just to see if I'm... A big one was when I used to say like all the time. Mm-hmm. I mean, I still do that when I'm not paying attention.
Yeah.
But I try to be good about it. So I try to pick up on ticks or loops or when I'm, rambling and improve it in further ones. So I don't listen to the whole thing, but I'll go back and listen to like 10, 15 minutes, usually every week.
Yeah. No, I usually watch the videos at work if I get a chance, like a day or two after.
Yeah.
I don't watch them that much anymore. I think because I'm pretty confident with the way that I've put them together at the moment is sort of as good as I can until I spend more time learning tools and bits and pieces, then at the moment this is good enough. I think for what we're doing. I don't need to.
Our podcasts are also not edited, like as in we don't cut out content.
No.
We'll trim the front, we'll trim the top and bottom, because there's of us turning off cameras and stuff. But we don't take out dead air in the middle, which I know a lot of podcasts will do. They'll take out rambly bits or parts that, like big shot podcasts will do that. They'll cut out bits in the middle.
Yeah, I don't.
And we don't do that.
No, we don't. I don't know I don't know whether that's really worth spending too much time on. I think that's because they are so big, they can afford to just pay someone to do it. They just pay someone to edit that out. Whereas it's us finding the time to do it, and you have almost zero time. Like,
yeah.
Like
I try to be good about it, but yeah.
You're basically in the podcast. You have spent more money on getting things set up and paying for fucking art and stuff than I have. I've definitely, it's cost me less money than you, and for me, it's just the time to piece things together and upload shit and try and keep it to its schedule.
Yeah, but even so, I would still think that our contributions are equal insofar as effort is concerned. Like, if you consider the effort to make that money that I put in, and then the effort that you've done editing or whatever, I see that very much as, like, you see it as equal. I see it as a 50-50 split. Honestly, I would probably put you at a 60-40 because at the moment you're also doing all of the Buzzsprout uploading and editing as well. So a good chunk of the back end, if not all of the back end, is being handled by you.
Majority,
a little bit of a flip. Yeah.
That reminds me, mate.
Was originally.
Where's our fucking thumbnails? Mate?
I'm chasing Will for it now. I've spoken to him. The trouble is he's been hit with back-to-back assignments.
Yeah.
So what he had was a group assignment where he was like under the pump for it because there was a deadline. And then he had another group assignment, which he had like a bit of a window in between. He had a bit of breathing room. But then his group has turned around and said, hey, we want your part now because we're going to build our parts off of your part. So he's gone, oh, fuck. And now he's had to bring that forward.
Yeah, repulled the
so
deadline
theoretically, so theoretically his breathing room kind of just like shifted. Yeah, well, I mean, disappeared, but if he gets it done early and then they work later, he would theoretically have breathing room afterwards.
Yeah.
But, life never really works out that way.
Yeah.
So
don't worry, I know about
we're working on it.
Deadlines.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. He's minted a couple of the YouTube thumbnails for me. I think he's just got to catch up. The NULLSCORE ones, I think he just needs like a good 5-6 hours where he can sit down and just go bang, bang, bang.
I mean, he also, he also, I noticed that his thumbnails are he's very good at, like, he must either watch the full content or skim through it enough to know what we've talked about the whole way through, because
he quizzes me.
He quizzes you. Okay.
And then he also will work out afterwards. So he uses me as a flag post. He goes, what did you talk about? And I'll go give him like 3 or 4 things. And then I think you're right. He does skim through the podcast to get a kind of vibe for how we talk about those things.
Yep.
So if we're disappointed in it, he'll give, he'll talk about, he might do like the laser eyes on them.
Yeah.
Or if he's, it's a meme or something, he'll do it up. Like, he knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
Smart dude.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll
shout out to Will if you listen to the podcast. I don't think you do.
I like his thumbnails, and we have been missing them for a while. So fucking mates.
Yeah. Baby, come back. Ooh, ooh.
Gross. I'm going to start reading bits out of this fucking article now. You asked me about Joe Rogan's podcast.
Right. Yeah. Go on.
All right. Well, it's from a site, MMA Mania, which I guess makes sense that they'd be reporting on Joe Rogan. But anyway, so the title is Employees Threaten to Strike If Spotify Refuses to Censor Joe Rogan. Which, like that in itself is fucking like...
That's ridiculous.
They wanted him to join their platform because he brings people in, but then they're also like, by the way, we don't want you talking about some of this stuff. We don't want you bringing these guests on, blah blah blah.
I think this is Joe Rogan being brought on is very much an executive decision. Like Joe Rogan is a huge driving force
Yeah.
in the podcast, just like financially and listener-wise. For Spotify, that's a huge accusation. Considering podcasting to be a relatively new format, it also makes sense that the crowd involved would be crop of very socially aware, woke millennial Gen Zers, right? So someone that has a relatively controversial point of view or is not presenting an entirely PC point of view is probably going to run into a couple of issues.
We don't like what you're saying. We don't want it yet. There's a couple of things
you and I have talked.
Go on.
Yeah, you and I have talked about PC culture before. I'm not a huge fan of it. I think if you...
I think everyone should be free to make an idiot of themselves publicly if they choose to. And we can just point. This is the thing. If you want to say fucking stupid things, I'm going to point and laugh at you. And I would expect the same to happen to me if I'm out standing. If I'm on a public platform spouting bullshit, people are going to fucking call me out on it.
Exactly. Yeah, I think this is one of the perspectives that I have as well. Is there are a lot of people who, when they talk about freedom of speech, don't necessarily understand that, yeah, you have the freedom to say whatever the hell you want, but if you apply that to everyone else, you also have to understand that you don't have freedom from ridicule, right? If as soon as you apply freedom of speech equally to everyone else, if you say, you know what, I really fucking hate the color blue. Fuck blue. Blue sucks, right? All the other guys who are like, oh yeah, mate, I'm a big fan of blue, they can then go over and go, well, fuck you. Blue's great. You're a fucking idiot, right?
Yeah.
Like that happens. That's not two separate concepts. That's applying the same concept. That's applying freedom of speech equally to both parties in that scenario. So I think a lot of times people are like, yeah, I think that, I'm picking mundane examples to avoid myself, putting myself in like a situation where it's like, a great example is when people are like, there are only two genders, right? And then a bunch of people who don't believe that get super angry, right? And they're like, oh, fuck you. And then the person's like, it's freedom of speech. I can say whatever I want. Get mad. It's like, yeah, but you don't just get to say whatever you want and then be free from all criticism.
Yeah. That's the thing, yeah.
Like,
I think that's
if people disagree with you, they can argue with you, right? I'm not saying that I believe in either side in that particular argument. Frankly, I was going to use an example with pancakes versus waffles, right? But I thought that might cheapen my point, so I picked a real-world example.
I don't think so, dude. Like, it's fine to say that pancakes are better than waffles. I mean, you're wrong, but it's okay.
Okay,
like,
you'd be wrong. That. Yeah.
You can think whatever you fucking like.
Absolutely agree with you, man. Camp waffles every day of the week. Every day of the week.
just hilarious to me. It's that's like,
so
people get fucking worked up about shit.
Let us know in the comments if you believe pancakes are better than waffles, and we'll tell you that you're wrong. So there you go. Yeah, freedom of speech. Get wrecked.
So despite several internal meetings, select staffers were reportedly dissatisfied with the way senior management responded to Rogan's controversial material, which prior to finding its way to Spotify aired exclusively on longtime Funny Man's YouTube channel. This is blah, blah, blah. Digital Music News reports. Spotify employees were demanding direct editorial oversight over the recently acquired Joe Rogan Experience podcast.
Whoa.
Yeah. That would include the ability to directly edit or remove sections of upcoming interviews or block the uploading of episodes deemed problematic. The employees also demanded the ability to add trigger warnings. Corrections and references to fact-check articles on topics discussed by Rogan in the course of his multi-hour discussions. Don't watch him if you don't like. If you don't like Alex Jones, don't watch his episode with Alex Jones in it. Don't watch it.
Yeah.
Don't go watch it and then get offended and start fucking screaming. I think that was the
big one. They were wondering about Alex Jones. Like, that was the big one. I think for this sort of thing, when I listen to all of those examples and things that they wanted, some of them make sense and some of them I think are, obviously over the top. Editing his podcast, absolutely no way.
Can we talk like
that's
trigger
horrible.
Warnings? Maybe. Like, I can understand
that's
why.
What I'm thinking.
But
that's what I'm thinking.
But
like,
I'm going to ignore them.
Like,
personally, I'm just going to ignore that.
But see, that's the thing. You've got the information then, right? Like, it's kind of like nutrition labels on food. Like, yeah, it probably messes with your marketing to have a whole bunch of text in, some weird format on the back.
By the way,
of
there's
your
a fuckload of sugar
jar.
in this. But we promise it's healthy.
Like, yeah. So it probably ruins your ability to market your product effectively in the manner that you want to do that, right? However, there's a certain public policy consideration there, right? It's much the same way that we rate movies like MMAR, right? Like, I don't necessarily have to agree. Now that I'm 25, I don't give a shit because I can watch whatever the hell I want, right? But when I was 15, that was like a big issue, right? I couldn't, you can't watch certain movies, blah, 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 right? You'd still log onto websites and you tick the box that says, yes, I am over 18, right? But for me, when they say, oh, we want trigger warnings there, if you put just at the bottom, right? Just like a little content included, and then they had certain terms that they put there, like they do with movies. They're like, this includes moderate violence or light sexual references. I'm not going to care. In fact, I'd probably really enjoy that because then I can search through podcasts and get a good idea of what I'm looking for.
Yeah.
Right? Like, more information for me is not a terrible idea.
Well, that's what I mean. When I was like
Removal
fucking
of
12 or 13
podcasts.
years old and go into the video shop with my... Fuck, I remember video shops. Anyway, go in the video shop and she's like, yeah, you can have 2 movies. And like, I'm going straight to fucking like action. Let's look for the one that says MA and has it has so many fucking things listed under MA that the text is tiny.
I want one with the cover art to have like explosions and stuff. Yeah.
High level, high impact violence, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, fuck yeah, this is going to be a good one.
Yeah.
I want this one.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I think if you are providing more information that lets people make a more informed choice, don't care. I think that's fine. If that information impacts the searchability of the podcast, I could see that being an issue. So like, I know with YouTube, if you have demonetized content or copyright claimed content in your video, it's restricted by the algorithm. So fully monetizable videos are spread more than non-monetized videos for obvious reasons.
Yeah, of course.
Right?
They make money off it.
If they stifle the discoverability of Joe Rogan's podcast on Spotify through the use of that kind of categorization,
then what was the point of paying $100 million for it?
Exactly.
Well,
exactly.
The problem, like the first, let's do it this way then. So the first thing they say, the ability to directly edit or remove sections of upcoming interviews. Yes or no?
No.
And why?
Absolutely no. 100% no. Because that's censorship.
Yes. Why did you pay for this? Why did you bring this guy on board if you have such huge problems with his content? Do you want his content or not?
That's the thing. And like, here's the other thing I have to think.
And then worse after that, block the uploading of episodes deemed problematic. That falls under the same thing. Like,
here's the thing as well, right? You need to understand this part as well for people that go all about First Amendment rights, right? Again, I'm an Australian lawyer. I primarily work in criminal defense. American constitutional law is not my forte, obviously. However, Spotify is a private corporation. They have their own terms of service, and they can choose not to host your content if they don't want to, right? It's not a breach of your First Amendment rights for them to take your podcast away. You can go and put your podcast somewhere else, right? However, the act of censorship does, even though it may not be non-constitutional, is still grubby.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
I'm surprised that any of this is even a thing. Like, he doesn't seem like the kind of guy who would want all this content under, being squashed like this and squeezed and fucking pressed into a mold. So wouldn't all of this shit have been sorted out before he signed any sort of deal with them? I don't understand how it's got to this point. You'd think this is all the shit that would come up in contract negotiations where he's like, I want to be able to keep doing exactly what I'm doing. I don't want you to fuck with it because it's working. Clearly it's working because you want to buy it for $100 million.
Yeah, in fact, you probably want me to keep doing what I'm doing rather than have a downturn when I switch platforms.
Not only switch platforms, but completely switch, like, this will cripple his content.
Yeah.
It will be nothing like it was. So that whole thing, no to all of that shit.
Yeah.
The next part, the employees also demanded the ability to add trigger warnings, corrections, and references to fact-checked articles on topics discussed by Rogan in the course of his multi-hour discussions. all of that seems okay. Like add links to like, references to fact-checked articles on topics discussed, corrections, as long as it's not interrupting. Like if I was listening to a podcast and they interrupt, it's like, hey, Joseph here, just letting you know that, it's just like some Spotify employee telling you, oh yeah, this is actually wrong. Just wanted to throw this in there. Enjoy the podcast, guys. Like, no, fuck off. Put a link somewhere.
Could you imagine if they're doing the podcast and Joe's like, hey man, so that's pretty cool, but have you ever tried LSD? Hi, Steve here from Spotify. Joe Rogan doesn't endorse the usage of LSD in any way, shape, or form. Back to the podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, so like LSD, it's like a whole thing. Like that would shit me off.
It'd be fucking annoying.
That'd be horrible.
So add trigger warnings. I don't care. I'm going to ignore them. I'm sure there's plenty of like. I don't think that would solve anything though. Like, is the other thing. I don't care about trigger warnings being added. It doesn't matter. I'm going to ignore them. I know some people will pay attention to them, and they are useful for I think very minority of people who would be watching this content. But I also think that there are going to be people who seek out these trigger warnings and then watch the podcast to have something to be upset and offended by.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's just.
But you were warned, so go and be upset and offended.
It won't
elsewhere.
matter. It won't matter because you know what some of those people like. It doesn't matter that they were warned.
Actually,
this is like the mothers
logic.
who are like, this game was horrible. What is this game that you sold my son? It's like, well, actually, we sold it to you and you gave it to your son. Did you read the label? It says high impact violence, sexual references. Like
every time a Grand Theft Auto comes out. Every fucking time.
There's the same kind of fucking people who are going to complain about this shit. Like, I'm offended. I want something to scream about. Fuck off.
Yeah.
Go watch Carrie Ann Kennelly, you fucking asshole. Just fuck off and let us have this. Just let us have something, please.
I'm sitting here and I'm thinking about all the times where I've seen people like one of my favorite things to see, like when I used to use Facebook regularly. I don't use Facebook regularly anymore. It's not, for any particularly good reason. I just stopped having a purpose for using it ever since my social media time was taken up by like everything stream related. Is there was a post that went round which was amazing, and it was like a prank on anti-vaxxers, right? And so they talked about this component that was being added to food that was poisoning children, right? It was this chemical compound that they'd made in a lab and were adding to food, and it was designed to be, further nutrition of children, but being a chemical compound manufactured in a lab, this was a real big issue. Do you know what the chemical compound was?
Is this the
Do you want to have a guess? It's hydrogen dioxide, which is H2O, which is water.
wasn't it dihydrogen?
Hydrogen dioxide.
It was
because it's
something.
Oh no, dihydrogen oxide, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's 2 hydrogen and 1 oxygen.
Yeah.
Am I right?
I think so.
my God,
Someone will tell us in comments if we're wrong. We're probably wrong, but whatever.
Water molecules. Let's see. Dihydrogen monoxide. Yeah, yes. There we go.
Yep.
Dihydrogen monoxide.
And that it was present in all these things. And I remember seeing that on Facebook. It was a few years ago that went around on Facebook, and all these people were fucking freaking out about it. I'm like, are you guys actually fucking retarded? What are you doing?
Been a while since you've been to school. I mean, to be fair, I had to Google whether it was 2 hydrogen atoms, but at least I had the common sense to Google it.
No, but I remember reading those things and going, well, di means 2 and mono means 1. 2 hydrogen, 1 oxygen. Isn't that fucking, I swear that's like, wouldn't that be water or something? So I looked it up and I was like, yeah, it's just fucking water. What's wrong with these idiots? Nobody did any, man, I am not a fucking smart person. But even I fucking figured that out. Like,
if it cleared the Titan bar of intelligence,
this is pretty fucking low,
man. Surely we've managed to keep it up for everyone else.
Look at all these outraged mothers.
Yeah. And look, we're not just saying that anti-vaxxers are exclusively mums. However, there is a strong correlation.
Look,
I will say that.
it seems to be like the vast fucking majority of them are.
Strong positive correlation.
Oh,
let's have a look. Episode 31, What's My Age Again? Let's have a read of some comments. Robin Carlson says, First, today my first day with no full-time employment after I got sacked from my work. I now only work when needed there and at the ice cream truck. Kind of just needed to get my mind off that thing after filing for state support. You guys make my day most of the times you do your podcast thingy. Oh, dude, that's super pog.
That's rough.
That was actually, I feel simultaneously really sad and really proud. Like I'm glad that we can do something to distract you from, life being shit. And I hope that life gets unshit quickly because you're a good bloke. But that's also really cool. I'm very happy that that's why you do this sort of thing, is to make people happy.
I remember Mono going to do his security training stuff. He was posting pictures in Ling's. This is ages ago now. Posting pictures in Ling's Discord about, I don't know, he had to stay there. I think he had to stay at some fucking, I don't know whether, I can't remember exactly what it was. I remember that he wasn't home though when he was doing it. I'm pretty sure. And that was, he'd been at that job for a couple of years or so. It sucks, man. I'm sorry to hear that's no longer a thing for you.
I have faith that you'll find another one. You'll get out. You'll be out, man. You'll be right. You'll get there. So look, good luck, Mono. Let us know when you get your new gig, and we'll
keep us updated,
we'll
dude.
Celebrate it. Yeah, keep us updated. And if you want to keep us updated on other platforms, fuck, I'm smooth. You can check us out on Twitter at twitter.com/ it's like at Viserys TV. That's how you do Twitter links. And then you can also catch Titan at TITAN_5150. You can also catch Titan live on Twitch at twitch.tv/T1TAN5150. And I think for this podcast, we might put my YouTube link now that the Twitch has slowed on down. So you can catch me on YouTube at Viserys. Where I'll be putting content for the next few days, and then eventually we'll make a return to streaming. But for the moment, it's just VOD content. Is there anything else that you want to say before we close this one out, my dude?
Yeah, I really want to add some trigger warnings to our podcast.
What trigger warnings are we going to apply?
I don't know, man.
Strong language. It's got to be strong language. Sexual references.
Yes.
Now that's got to go in there. It's actually strong sexual reference in there.
I should have added drug references to the one with your story about the
drug references. Yeah. Yep. Adult themes.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah, I think our podcast is like MMA already. All
right, let's get the fuck out of here, man. Fuck.
We'll catch you guys next time. It's been an absolute pleasure. I'll see you on the next one.
Thanks for watching, guys. See ya.
God, bloody trigger warning. Can you imagine? That'd be insane. I mean, like, to be fair, again, I'm not opposed. I think trigger warnings will only give you more tools to search stuff. But
I feel like it gives you an out. If you're going to demand that we have trigger warnings, then fine, but fucking pay attention to them.
Yeah, and I'm also assuming that they're going to be like written warnings. Like, could you imagine if you're listening to the podcast and it'd be like, hey man, so let's go on to our next topic. Hi, Sean here from Spotify. Yeah. The next part of the podcast includes content that is of a drug-related nature.
It'd be like right at the start of the podcast. Like, this podcast contains references to rape, dismemberment, and blah, blah, blah. You know, it'd be all this shit.
What kind of podcast are you listening to?
Well,
probably about Vikings, let's be real.
Oh, fuck.
That fits the description.
Oh, mate. Oh, I fucking... Right. Man, No. So someone... I saw... as you know, I've been fucking abused a few times in my chat before, and I usually let it go and laugh at it because it's fucking funny. It's always my mods who end up killing it. I'm like, oh man, I was having fun with that. Anyway.
Yeah.
So I realized that people come in and like they think that the worst thing to say to you is, I hope you die. And I'm like, just reading that thinking, what, you hope that literally all my problems are no longer my problems? thanks, man. Like, how does that, like, doesn't really affect me? Like, if I die, it's not a problem for me anymore, is it?
It's also like a really big philosophical question.
So I started
as well.
thinking,
like,
what could you say that would be more damaging than that? Like something that actually is wishing something horrible on someone. And I was like, what if they said to me, I hope you get raped? I was like, well, then, you know, that's pretty fucking traumatic, and I would have to deal with that forever. That's more of an insult than I hope you die. It's like,
I would argue that a greater threat would be I hope you don't die. Imagine having to live with the like existential dread and pain of living forever.
I hope you lose all your limbs and don't die. It's like, well, fuck.
Yeah. Oh, that's pretty rough. Yeah. Holy moly.
Oh, let's go before this gets worse. Shit.
Yeah, let's hit the red button.